My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And seeing as this is 3MB, we are proudly sponsored by VMB Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that amazing deal of 50% off your MOT when you let them know that you're a Rambler. Thank you to VMB Auto Centres for their continued support.
Hey, subscribe to BUILDERS Ramble, man.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is 3 Mardy Blades. And some of us might have cause to be a little bit Mardy tonight because there he is. Hey man, subscribe to Blades Ramble, man. He might have to stay, to be honest. Not only because I've already built that intro, but because he's just cool as a cucumber, isn't he? Gyro Revel has left the football club. And that was the big shocker of the day, I think, when we saw the return list drop this morning around 11 o'clock. Quickly scrambled together a stream. That's been seen about 3,500 times already. So thank you to everybody that's gone over there and had a watch of that. Just immediate reactions, really, and trying to get a feel as to how everybody were feeling about it. Some quite angry about it, some understanding of it. In terms of, look, we have to readjust now and we have to think about where we are as a football club, and maybe these quote-unquote luxury players that last 60 minutes in a game, yes, they're very good players, but maybe we can't carry that sort of player anymore if we are like squeezing down our budget and working to much tighter margins. So we're going to discuss it all today. I've got my two mates to scrum down and have a big chat about it, so you can join us for the ride. But first up, it's Paul the Man Mountain.
This is a view from the mountain with a heart so pure it's astounding. Man Mountain, strong and true. What a man, what a view.
Now then, my mate, how's it going?
So, hi mate, how are you? Just rubbing it in by showing Jairo.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, just get your chin over the mountain. So, yeah, I need to work it out so I can switch off the mics when the intros are on, so I can go back to singing them like I used to do, and you guys can talk over it throughout the whole intro without anybody knowing what you're saying, because you know there's some risque subjects get discussed before we go on sometimes, aren't there? So, how are you, mate? How's things going?
Yeah, all good, mate. I'm sizing up my holiday next week and breaking up on Friday for all the school teachers out there. And all the parents who have to have some time off to look after their children. That's me too, by the way. But yeah, it's just end of term on Friday, so everyone's bouncing around a little bit. So
nice, nice. Bit of a boogie going on in the Mountain household. I love that. Okay, mate. Well, we're going to get down to business in a minute, but we can't do that without our mate Dave the Nose.
Dave the Nose, he really knows where the wind, I know.
Dave the Nose, how's it going, my mate?
All right, boys.
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm not so bad. Not so bad. Just before we start, I know you've already done this, but just feel like we should echo it. The passing of Tim and love to his family and everything. Sad day on Sunday. So, yeah, just wanted to say that.
Well said, mate. Yeah, so for those that haven't caught up with the news, unfortunately, within the Ramble community, we lost a really strong member who has been with us for a very long time and was all about community and all about bringing people together, and that is Tim Iwaneko. He appeared on some, I don't think it was public shows that Tim appeared on in the early days. I think they were behind closed doors just to sort of have a bit of a laugh between ourselves, really. But yeah, Tim was a fantastic member of the community, and we sadly lost him yesterday. So love goes out to Tim and his family. I've got him in my phone as Quizmaster Tim because he asked if he could set up a a group on our community page just for people that wanted Sheffield United quizzes, because he put them all together and he spent loads of time doing it. The other thing that he's, of course, remembered for is putting in the group is good morning messages, where he was sure we've got a group now, and I think there's around 130, 135 in our Platinum chat, and he made sure to name everybody individually just to make sure everybody felt included in his good morning messages. So we'd sort of joke that it was one of these really long messages because it had everybody's name included, because that's the type of fella he is or was. So yeah, thank you to Tim for everything that he gave to us and thoughts with his family.
Yeah, really, really good bloke, and what we knew of him, obviously, when we met him on those early shows, really top fella, and big blade, big rambler, just a real loss to all of us. So yeah, loads of love to his family.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Dave. We would have certainly mentioned it at some stage, but happy for it to come in at any point. And if anybody in the comments wants to echo any stories they might have about Tim, we'll prioritise those as well. So I think the main thing is, in terms of what we're going to talk about today, Dave, quite rightly, I think we're going to move 3MB, whether it's currently or whether it's in the new season, to a Monday night, just because of the way we're looking to restructure some of the content on the channel, because I'm now doing a post-match reaction on a Saturday, 90 after 90 will move to a Sunday, and then 3MB could fit nicely on the Monday if it suits the two boys. And I messaged you both yesterday and I said, lads, are you still up for Monday night, tomorrow night, and being tonight? And Dave said, yeah, but let's just hope there's something to talk about, because it's all quiet at the lane. And that's originally what I set this stream up saying, all quiet at the lane, because yes, we were expecting the retained list out. It hadn't come yet, but we all thought it were a bit of a formality, and largely it has been, other than the gaping gyro-shaped hole that is no longer in the Sheffield United squad. So who wants to start us off with their take on Gyro Revel leaving? Dave, do you want to have your say?
It's unexpected, as you alluded to on your stream earlier. I've tried to make some sort of sense of it, and the only thing I can really come to is the likelihood of Phillips coming back and thinking we'd have him, Blaster, Rothwell, and that's on the assumption that City goes. And if he's on reasonable money, is he going to get the amount of minutes on the pitch that warrants the money we've maybe been paying for him? The other thing was that I don't think he seemed to start a lot of games, did he, towards the back end of the season? So no. Maybe this has been on the cards, and maybe whoever what had gone out to without digging him out, but going out to Danny Hall, maybe that just wasn't what the case was, and they weren't going to keep him. I don't know.
Maybe so, but I'll push back slightly. And for all I knew, he was staying. In the pre-match press conferences, Chris Wilder were talking about working with Gyro Revel and what an asset he'd been since he come into the football club. So it feels like there's been a change, and I don't know what that is. We're gonna go into the possible scenarios in a minute. I just want to get Paul's take on it as well as an initial point. What were your thoughts, mate, when you saw his name?
Well, I said the other day, and I didn't say them, or I told you so, but I did say I think there'd be some surprises with regards to, because we've been kind of pushing a narrative, haven't we, of who we expect or want to go or think might go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there could be further surprises. The things he was saying about him not that long ago of being a footballer, proper player, etc., makes this a massive surprise. I think was it you last week, Jim, said he was probably arguably the best midfielder. Did you say that on Proper Football? I think I did. Yeah. At the club. So yeah, big surprise. There will obviously be reasons that we might not end up being privy to about what they are as fans and not on the inside of it. But there's a few things I'd like to think could be factors in it.
Okay.
certainly wages. So wages in terms of what we've got on the books already. The City Peck saga, we've been saying we think he's going to be going all the way through. This kind of leans the other way.
Yeah, it does.
And certainly the noises City makes, and I know that City's under contract to the club and is going to have something for the public, and they're going to have something behind the closed door.
Same with Gus, to be fair, in that regard.
Well, we've been saying about Gus, and honestly, we've said about Gus in every window for the past 4. So we've got that wrong time after time.
Correct.
And it just goes to show that we're not completely privy to everything. I think what we have said and identified is that there's a certain type of midfielder that we want. And yes, we do rate Gyro very highly, but it might be to make room for someone of that ilk, a more Vinny Souza sort of player that we've been talking about, a destroyer, a box-to-box player that we've been looking for to give us a bit more in that engine room. Which leads me on to my next thing, was about potential injury or something that the club might know about. That makes them a little bit uncomfortable with proceeding with a deal. Maybe there's a niggle, maybe there's an injury that needs sorting out first before they do the deal. There's obviously other players could be other players in the pipe, like you just said about Phillips. There might be he might be wanting to go in a completely different direction, which is nervous and exciting at the same time. And I'm sure Wilder will either be praised for that, or he'll be thrown under a bus at some point if he gets a donkey in who no one likes, Samari styley. So we'll have to wait and see. But there could also be it could be a personal thing, could be a family personal thing that says that he needs to go and do something else, because we often overlook that side of the player itself. And it may even be that the deal that we agreed to as a club is no longer attainable for us as a club in terms of the level of wages. And it may be they might have said, when there's a sale or two gone through, we can think about making you an offer for a contract. I don't think this necessarily means he's definitely out the door and gone and won't be back. I think it might be a circumstantial thing where they're looking to maybe get a couple of deals done so they know what sort of wages they're working with. Dave's shaking his head.
You know what? The only reason I disagree with that is because I think if it wasn't done and dusted, it would have said something like
negotiation.
Yeah, because it only has to go into the league by Saturday, so they don't have to have announced it. Yeah, it just feels quite final to me. I might be wrong.
I agree in a lot of respects. I think Paul raises some really good points. They're similar to what I touched on earlier, to be fair. And I know Paul won't have had a chance to see that yet because he was working, but it shows we're thinking along similar lines. I wonder if Jairo was the reason for the late retained list announcement, in terms of, look, we'd offered him a deal and it were an alternative to, like, I think Paul might be onto something with, we're not happy as a club paying what we paid this season just gone, because we're now having to tighten the belt. But if we can restructure the deal in a different way, that might have been offered to Jairo. And this is all speculation, but one of the reasons will be true somewhere along the line. I don't think it's a Jairo decision. I think he was happy to stay. And again, that's just my assumption from things you hear. And he said that to a lot of people himself as well. Does it make you more confident, like Paul says, that somebody like City Peck might stay, or that we can reallocate that money elsewhere? Does it make you think like a Calvin Phillips might come in now? Is it more likely that a Calvin Phillips comes in because we've freed up significant finance? Or does it move to another area of the pitch? Is it a case of, well, we couldn't afford Kyle Walker if we kept big earners like Jairo around who are not guaranteed starters? You've got to carefully balance everything now in terms of your finances.
I think it's more towards that latter point, but along the lines of you've got a budget you've got to use sensibly, and what you don't want to do is, where you can avoid it, is have high earners who aren't playing as many minutes as others. So I think it points that the funds are going to be allocated elsewhere. It was a bit of a concern, and whether the pre-season had sorted it was a bit of a concern that he didn't do 90 minutes. I don't think I remember seeing him do 90 minutes in a Blade shirt.
I think I vaguely, it stands out that he's done it once, and I don't know whether that's true or not, or whether I was just looking for it. But very, very rarely, if at all, has he got anywhere near to 90 minutes for me. And it was a concern. That was one of the few concerns that we've had. Look, we're a weaker team for losing Gyro Revel. There's no doubt about it. But this is part of the restructure. This is how we have to operate now. We're going to have players leave and go out the door. Sorry, I've just had a message to stick my volume up a little bit, so hopefully people can hear me a little bit better now. But we're going to have people go out the door, and this is not how we're going to finish. This is not how we're going to start pre-season. So this is all part of the bigger picture. A lot of teams and squads are depleted at this time of the season, and it's hard to accept that some of your better players, if you like, have gone out of the door. But we will be stronger come kick-off, because Chris Wilder, who a lot of us trust to get the rebuild right, and even if you don't, then he's doing it. So you've got to back him. We'll have a stronger side going into the start of the season. So I think it's exciting more than anything else. I'm surprised. I'm a little bit disappointed that Gyro's left, but I understand it. And I think, we have to get used to it in terms of, I talked a little bit again about realigning our expectations as to where we are as a club. If we've still got parachute payments, then I think Gyro Revel's still a Sheffield United player. I don't think it's an ability question. I think it's a financial decision. And I think that's why he's been allowed to leave the club at this stage.
Do you think it's late, this retain list? Because I don't think I've seen many of them. I think it were actually, for championship clubs, I think we're quite early.
It was due in on Saturday, wasn't it? Like you said.
No. They have to go into the EFL.
To the EFL, yeah. So
it could have gone into the EFL 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, possibly. So the deadline for the EFL is Saturday.
Yeah.
You can still have that open-ended, ongoing discussions, can't you, for however long you want. But I don't know whether they were just trying to project to the fan base.
No, I mean, I think the fact that it's the announcements come out and not many clubs have announced theirs, I think it's quite quick.
Oh, I'm starting to see several now. Several clubs are announcing it. Because the lists have gone into the EFL, haven't they?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Paul, do you think there's any merit in this finance being distributed across the squad, whether that be new contracts? Does it make it more likely for you that we could, see a new deal for Ollie Arblaster or even City Peck? Is that a stretch to say that City Peck could sign a new deal? He's widely expected to leave as one of our most saleable assets, but he is on low wages because he signed when he was just breaking into the first team, and now he's an established first teamer at championship level. I think he would want parity if he was going to at least stay for another season. That would obviously allow us to insert a clause, which the player, I'm sure, would want in there as well for him to go. Do you think that's a likelihood now that we've freed up some finance with Jairo going?
I think so, yeah. It's more likely, isn't it? Because it has to be. To me, I lean towards the financial side of this because it just makes more sense. We've been saying it for ages. The wage bill, unless we sell all the crown jewels, it has to be chopped in half. So you've got to make sacrifices. And I guess I would imagine again that Jairo was on good money coming from the Premier League. And in the short term, it made sense for Sheffield United to take him on, and it did. But it's got to be a financial thing. You can't give everything to everybody. They might be looking at a new contract for Gus. They might be looking at a new contract for. I don't see him offering Blaster a new deal. I think he would have. He had quite a long deal, didn't he? In his last one, and he got it at quite a good time for himself, I think. So I don't think it's. I don't think that's going to be a immediate priority. But certainly with Gus and City, if City was going to stay, he wouldn't be stopping if we weren't in a position to offer him a new set of terms. I wouldn't imagine. And it does again the Gus Hamer thing. If we are going to re-sign him, which from the noises again he made, I think it's possible. And we've been wrong about Gus, like I said. It's window in, window out every time. So I think there's still an opportunity there potentially. But again, it's allocation of funds, Jim. We haven't got the money to be paying people at a certain level, and And if we are going to pay 1 or 2 at the level, maybe he thought there was money best spent elsewhere.
Do you? It's a wide question, and it's hard to. I suppose it's hard to specify, but do you agree with the decision, Paul? Because and it's very hard to, like I say, obviously he's a good player, and I think he's our best player at the moment, but he can't complete 90 minutes. It is something that we have to consider the finances of the deal, and we know the financial situation of the club. Do you think it's the right call?
There's no way I can say it's the right call, because I'm kind of with you that he's been very good this year, and
All right, Dave.
I don't. He's going to clip me up and put me on one of them shorts.
I don't know how you can answer.
Oh, this is what Man Mountain said
Tag
about
Gyro.
that.
Tag Gyro in it.
Gyro's a load of rubbish. Get him out.
Well, do you think it's the right decision
Man
despite
Mountain
knowing
doesn't know what he's
absolutely
talking
no
about.
other reason?
Letters, capitals. Yeah.
Despite what I said earlier.
Yeah. No, he's a good player, mate. But there's a lot more. I haven't got all the information, have I? And
I'll be able to clip some
the
up
truth
from
is,
that.
we don't know what's in the pipe either, do we? In terms of who's going to come in instead, what they want to do with the monies that they've got freed up and available from the sale. So I can't commit either way at the minute, Jay. I'm going to get some splinters, but certainly if you'd said to me, do I expect them to re-sign Revel, then I'd have said yes. And all the noises Wilder's been making about him, I'd have said I'd have put some money on it, because he clearly rated him. But there's a lot more input to it than that, isn't there? There's a lot more to it, and I think there's a certain budget, and I'm sure we're closer to the budget with him out the door. But saying that would be foolhardy.
Yeah, I'll try and catch Dave with it a little bit later. We'll see if we can get a clip out of Dave. But look, this is a little bit of a naughty question, but I think it's one that we have to cover. I don't want to sort of set airs racing or anything like that, because I don't personally believe this is the case. But Dave, do you think there's a possibility that Chris Wilder wanted him to stay and the club have not offered him or not triggered the deal, or do you think Wilder is the one to make this decision? Come on.
Of course, it's possible. I don't know. I don't like putting words in his mouth.
But do you think there's a danger that there's been a difference of opinion here on Gyro, that the board have said no, we can't give that extra bit of money if you want X, Y, and Z?
I'm going to say no on the basis that how it's been spoken about, and we took the deal where we were at the time when we took the deal. We were sort of in no man's land, weren't we? So we might have hoped that we'd get promotion, but it was so far off at the time that it was never kind of odds on or anything. So I would have assumed that at the time this would have been spoken about in the sort of way that internally, that what happens if we don't go up. And with Bamford, they've kind of done the opposite and kept him, and he'll have been on, no doubt he's on really good money. So
he feels like Wilder's golden goose, doesn't he, Bamford?
I mean, he's the harder player of the two to replace for me.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's a different type of scenario, but I'm sure if Chris had have wanted to have his way in that respect, he'd have probably got it. But it would have been on the basis of, if you're going to keep him, fine, but that's going to reduce your budget by X, and that means you might not get, this target and that target that you've given them.
It might have been told. I agree with you, Dave. By the way, I think it might have been told something like it's Calvin Phillips or Jairo, because we can't afford to have both, and that's a lot of. It's worth asking the question though, because of the nature of the U-turn. He's been pointing towards Gyro signing. He's been talking about him in pre-season, all this sort of stuff. What he'll be like with a full pre-season behind him, and all of a sudden he's on the release list. So
maybe somebody's become available we didn't know about, and maybe we're going to use the money for somebody else.
Quick question, Jim. Just to you, mate.
Yeah. Remember, I can control what's clipped.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Well, I can't always, because internet catches you, doesn't it? But
who would you rather have, Jim? Would you rather have Calvin Phillips or Gyro Revel next season?
You're an absolute. Well, if I do 2 versions, I can clip them both, can't I? Depending on what happens.
Come on, Jim.
I think Gyro Revel is the proven commodity for us. If we can keep Calvin Phillips fit, then I was ridiculously excited for the Calvin Phillips signing. There's a lot of ifs around them both, to be honest. If you're getting the best of both players, then Calvin Phillips is the better player. But you can't guarantee that, can you? All I want is a fit, robust midfield that we can rely on playing week in, week out.
Come on! Which one do you want?
Which means Calvin Phillips that hasn't done that for 3-4 years.
3-4 years is harsh. I wouldn't say it'd been that much.
When has he been a regular since he left Leeds?
Well, he signed for Man City. So
yeah, I know that.
And then he went on to he played for Ipswich in Prem.
When did he last string 30 games together in a season?
For Leeds. For Leeds.
Leeds. So that's
same with Jairo though. Jairo came and he'd played what 20 games tops, hasn't he? He hadn't played a regular season for anybody, as far as I'm aware. And Jairo.
No,
and that's what we're at. That's the thing. So it might be neither. The answer might be neither, because we need more robust players, or players who are proven to be able to play Saturday, Tuesday. We might need more John Flecks. You what?
We do though, don't we?
Yeah. We might need a John Fleck instead.
Yeah.
Or a Paul Coots, somebody who can play week in, week out, that can play more than 60 minutes. And Gyro's a brilliant player. I'm not using one stick to beat him with, but that was the thing that we criticised him over, was his availability. And we all know what the best ability is, don't we? So Calvin Phillips hasn't been available either for a lot of the season for us. So we can't say Calvin's if they're both fit and available, it's an easier conversation, but there's so many more variables than that, aren't there? So, you might offer me somebody else. Regan Slater's been a name that's doing the rounds. Now, a lot of people will be hugely underwhelmed by Regan Slater, but he's done a great job for Hull. They finished 6th. There's a chance he could be playing in Premier League next season, by the way, and starting, because he's been starting for Hull intermittently. So people who might turn their nose up at Regan Slater, why? Do you know what I mean? It's one of those, really. He might be the cheapest of the lot and be the best option for us in terms of the type of player we want, not only in availability, not only in make-up in terms of ball recovery, but also in affordability. So I'm not saying Regan Slater's the answer. I'm not saying that at all, but there are other options other than those two that we're talking about. And we now have to certainly look at a Gyro alternative, but it might not be Calvin Phillips. I'd be surprised if he wasn't, if the question wasn't asked, because obviously Wilder's clearly a fan. He loves a long-term target, and Phillips's reputation is still strong not in recent times. Paul's absolutely right, but I think Wilder always sees, if you've seen a player perform to a certain level, he's confident he can get the best out of people. So he will fancy himself to get a tune out of Calvin Phillips. And if he does, let's be honest, if he gets 80% of the leads, Calvin Phillips, then we're absolutely laughing. But it's a big if, isn't it? It's a big ask.
So well done, Jim.
Thanks. Did I talk enough to avoid the question?
I think you've answered that. Not at all there. Perfect.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's what I wanted to do.
He's going to be a politician, I'm telling you.
No, thank you. Right, let's get to some comments before we completely let things run away with us. Board Lee drops this in at 20-1. All quiet at the lane? Boom. Not anymore. Gyro leaving shows Wilder has faith in our own, like Peck, Blaster, breakout player of the season, Paul Mountain, third in the player of the year awards.
That's the one thing nobody spoke about, is how Paul fits into the squad next season.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Have a great show, lads. Up the Blaze. Top man, Lee.
I'm a target man for abuse.
The other thing that I touched on today, when we were sort of discussing various options other than Gyro, is, and again, I've used Regan Slater as an example there. We have got one of the best youth systems, certainly in Yorkshire, if not the country, because some of the players we've turned out are incredible, and some of the most valuable saleable assets that we've been talking about this season and last is Sidney Peck, Andre Brooks, Femi Sariki. They've all come through our academy. There's others that you can mention as well. And is there someone waiting in the wings to come through? Now, that won't excite anybody particularly. That won't be like, oh yeah, get Archie Christie Craney in the lineup, or get Jevon Beattie in the lineup and stuff like this, because it's not a big wow signing. But Sidney Peck came through a couple of seasons ago and more than held his own. He's now a first team regular. Ollie Arblaster came through the ranks of the Sheffield United Academy. As we've said, Brooksy and Sariki, yes, they take time to get up to speed and young players can be inconsistent. But that might be another option, that we might be blocking a pathway from some young kids to come through from a very successful youth setup. Any thoughts on that, lads? Anybody that you think might be... No, Dave, shaking your head at that?
No, my opinion is that I think it's a shift in mentality to proven, robust players in a smaller squad that can survive. You said Saturday, Tuesday, and I think that's where we're going. Players that he knows he can rely on, and with the sort of the heart, the leadership, all the things that he spoke about that we've been lacking over this last season. I think that's what we're going to be looking to bring in. So I don't think it's going to be, we don't sign anybody because we've got somebody who we don't already know about, who's been regularly in the first team. Ryan One, perhaps aside, who's going to be part of.
Do you expect us then to potentially look at bottom end championship, top end League One, captains, player of the years, like a bit of the old school Wilder recruitment model, rather than... Obviously, Calvin Phillips is an anomaly because he's been here before and we know there's interest from both parties. But rather than James McAtee's or anybody like that from, young, expensive players from the Premier League, which I think there'll be a few. But are you looking at players like, for example, Cameron Brannigan at Oxford to come into the side? I'm not saying he's good enough, but that sort of ilk of, he's a captain at Oxford. He's been okay at the level previously. It might be that sort of player that he looks to step into our setup.
I think the spine and defensively, yes, that's where I feel we'll do our business. I think the attacking players is a little bit different. They're much harder to recruit, and you are probably looking at the top end League One, or you're looking at very, very promising, very, very good Premier League loans that you can bring in.
Paul, would you agree with that?
I do agree to an extent. I think personally, I think Phillips will be a done deal for a loan. That's my gut tells me that can be the only justifiable explanation.
Your gut being Tom Cannon, is that what we're saying?
Listen, Tom's a good lad. He knows what he's doing. Hence the night as well for Ireland. Congratulations, Tom.
Fantastic coaching, by the way, there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just peel off your man a little bit earlier.
There's a player in there. We'll see it next year. No, I think Calvin Phillips, it feels like to me, will be a done deal. I don't see Man City getting him completely off the books. I see him coming on loan. I see him coming here because Wilder's been ranting and raving about his attitude and the way he's gone about it since he's been in the building. He wants leaders. He wants experience. They don't come any bigger and better. So I think he's one. I think that you're right about the other one. I think I want to see. I want to see again. I keep saying a box-to-box midfield player. Brannigan's injury record this season has been patchy as well, so he quite fits the mold. Although he would be available for reasonable money. I think that there's definitely another midfielder to come because I do think Peck will be moved on, and the money will come in for Sidney Peck, and there'll be a purchase potentially of another one. So I think there'll be. Yeah, I think we'll have Rothwell and Blaster of the existing. I think Phillips will be added as a loan player, and I think there'll be one other which we will go out and get. Because I think he wants what he wants. He wants his characters. He wants a bit of a poo house. There's a thought in the back of my head that Gyro, despite all the things we've said about him this season and lauding his intelligence on the pitch, he's quite a laid back character, and he might want somebody with a bit more needle.
He's horizontal, mate.
Yeah. I mean, great attitude. Great. Everyone thinks. I think everyone in the world wishes they could be quite as relaxed.
As cool as Jairo. Yeah,
it's cool. Yeah, but the truth is he might want someone with a bit of bite and a bit of needle, and it would suit us to get to have one of them in there with. I think Rothwell and Blaster are footballers, they're ball players. Obviously, Calvin Phillips is the same and has got a bit about him in that sense. But I think he might want somebody to be a bit of a destroyer. And it doesn't mean I look past Regan Slater at that point, because I think he's proved himself at Championship level to be a really good footballer. He's one that's kind of got away because he left, having not made many appearances for us, and has done really, really well for Hull.
Blade as well.
Yeah, he brings attributes to the table that we might be looking at and thinking we could do with a bit of that. Someone to break up play, to be in those passing lanes when we've looked vulnerable this season. That's where it's been a little bit in terms of positioning of a central midfielder. He's quite selfless, Slater, in his play. Yeah. He likes to give the ball to others who are technically potentially better players in that sense, and more like to get us an assist and a goal. And we've got lads who can do that. So I think he might be a very shrewd signing, and I know it's going back to one of the United old boys, which people bemoan sometimes, but players are players, and Regan Slater's proved himself at this level. So I wouldn't have any reservations about taking a chance on him.
Well said, mate. Well said. Would you have, if those are the signings, Regan Slater and Calvin Phillips, is it Blaster and Phillips as you starting to next season, would you say, boys? Nod from Dave.
I think the way that we think about it is we know Blaster's ceiling is potentially even higher than what we've seen him do when he was in the Premier League for us. So we want that kind of ability. I think he offers us the better threat going forward as well. I think his final ball quality and even when he was getting his shots away, he was scoring a few goals for us as well. He had the best. Yeah. I think he's got points to prove this season, Blaster. Obviously, it's not his fault he got injured, but he'll have the bit between his teeth, I think, this season. So you could be right, but I see, like you said a number of times, there's a lot of games in this season, and we need options all the way through. I see 4 midfielders being used regularly within a match day, certainly in the squad, and often throughout a game, I suppose, mate. 3, possibly 4 of them in each game. So it's certainly a position that sometimes needs freshening up on a match day.
Be good competition, wouldn't it?
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
I do wonder if there might be a right back that might come in that could also fill in there if needed.
Yeah. Horses for courses as well. There's going to be different games that will suit different players.
100%.
Agreed. Right. Bean says, side note, Jimmy, can't believe you asked earlier if we were harsh on Shackleton. Bloke's been here 2 years and had the same on-field impact as me, and the only notable thing he's done was off-field. Why aren't we seeing more any off-field changes in terms of director of football, sporting director? We're crying out for one, in my opinion. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but CW is too stubborn in terms of who he targets. Any thoughts on that, lads? I know it's a big subject to tackle, but I can't see anything changing really in the immediate.
Well, Steve Bettis raised a great point, didn't he, at the fan advisory board forum that we went to, of sort of saying, look, what do you expect a director of football to do? And then how those sort of points were already covered by the club. So I think the priority for me, if it's off field, is maybe having a little bit of a freshen up in terms of some fresh ideas coming into the group. Yeah. Certainly, if we need to do something with the medical side, because I think even going back to Hecky's time in charge, we've had rotten, whether it's rotten luck with injuries and general fitness,
can't just be luck, mate.
Or whether we're not doing something right.
Look at Ryan Brewster this season for Derby. I know he got injured back end of the season, but he's one example, isn't he?
Yeah.
Reece Norrington Davis has had a full season at QPR. These are players that we've written off as injury-prone players and couldn't keep fit at Sheffield United, and they've gone and had seasons elsewhere. And that's not every. Obviously, there's unique circumstances for everyone. You've got to take them on their own merit, but it can't just be bad luck, can it? Not for me.
I think as Sheffield United fans, the pendulum in that respect has swung to the two extremes. So we've had the 2 seasons we were in the Premier League, even when we went down, we still
Yes.
were recording like second furthest distance run, etc., etc. The first season in particular, we were very, say, fortunate. You could say it was all part of the plan. We were able to keep a consistent side on the pitch, and that helped obviously with chemistry and the method of the play that we were putting together. We've also had seasons where we've had players getting injured all the time. We know that Chris has even said before, we train how we play. Otherwise, what's the point? And that could be part of, might have been neglected a little bit in our recruitment, because we need lads who I know when the great managers, when you look back at people like Cloughy and Ferguson and stuff, they're always asking they always ask one question as well, just right at the start. What do his legs look like? Because they can tell players by what the legs are like.
Yeah.
Legs. Let me have a look at his legs, because they want players who look like footballers and have that robustness that you need to be a footballer and play that many games and train at that intensity. You know, it's a hell of a undertaking, and maybe that's something that we might have been neglecting in our recruitment over at certain periods. And I know Wilder certainly can't be blamed for the recruitment of this last season. So I think there's exciting times, boys. I think there's going to be some more surprises. We are guessing a little bit on what he wants to do with his team.
You said that before. What surprises do you think might be? Obviously, you don't know. Wouldn't be a surprise if you did. But what's your gut telling you in terms of what you think might happen?
I think there'll be players who leave who we didn't expect.
Like a Burrows, for example.
Certainly a Riedeveld. That's the first one.
All right, Mystic Meg.
I think there might be. Yeah, I think there might be a couple of surprises potentially. I think there's a few that are nailed on to stay. But yeah, there could. You just never know. You just never know if the right offer comes in. You've said it before. Everybody's available, and there may be someone stay we don't expect, and there could be someone leave who we don't expect.
Agreed. I think that is what the return list has taught us today. Is that I genuinely expected a run-of-the-mill routine statement from the club where Ben Mee, Danny Ings, Tom Davis leave the club. We're in discussions with Adam Davis. We've even triggered his thing. We're not even in discussions. We've triggered his contract. And I thought that would be more or less it, because everybody else is staying there under contract. Well, little curveball from the club there. We may well be starting this, or come close at transfer window. Sidney Peck might be starting for us every week. And Japhet Tanganga may have left the club. And there may be all these sorts of different things that we thought we knew how this was going to pan out. And that is why we love it, innit? That is why we love the game.
I think there's a reasonable chance, Jim, that this is just me. There's a reasonable chance he gets a brand new back four.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah. I don't think everybody leaves, but I think it's a very strong chance that could happen.
Yeah.
Lee's been. I know you have as well, Paul, but Lee's been calling Japhet Tanganga going in summer for a while as well. So it wouldn't be that much of a surprise to some. I still think when he's only done a year and he's been such a big signing, it would surprise me if he left.
It wouldn't surprise me that much.
But I don't think we're going to get what we want for him. That's the only thing, because he's not had the best of seasons. Having said that, does he hold his value?
It's one season, Jim. His reputation's a bit bigger than that, I'd say.
Okay. What odds on us getting a video? I mean, if they've shocked us tonight once, could they shock us at midnight tonight with Gus on the pitch with a
shut the front
contract
door,
2029?
Shut the front door. Would you want that?
Yes.
Dave, right. I want to speak to you about this, right? And I'm not saying you're wrong. This is just what I want.
But you are saying I'm wrong because you're asking.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong. But you're wrong.
But you're not right.
I've got to put these questions to you both. Sometimes playing devil's advocate, but I think it's fair to say, and correct me if you think I'm doing you a disservice here, but I think you sort of made peace with Gus will be going and probably on balance of play. That's probably thought best. And the closer it's got to becoming a reality, because I've seen it in some messages, and we speak as well, obviously. And I think you're like, well, it's going to be a big shame this actually when Gus goes. And then the more it's got closer to the reality, you've not wanted it to happen more and more.
Yeah.
And are you pining for the player that he used to be, or do you still hold out hope that he could be that player again?
He's not had the season that he'd hoped he'd had, but his numbers are still pretty good.
His numbers are great. His numbers are great.
Even this season, his numbers.
Yeah, absolutely right. And again, I'm playing devils. I'm not saying I don't want Gus Eamon to sign a deal.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. I think.
But you've gone really far this way, haven't you? Now, in terms of you want Gus to stay.
I do. I mean, I always wanted Gus.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
I always wanted Gus to stay. I have made peace with it, and the likelihood is he will go. And I think we will all really miss him on the pitch when he's not there. And I think it's one of those that if he does sign a contract, and even if it does take up a big chunk of the budget, I think he's that good. And I think he needs to be. I think that if that's true, and they'll move him into the 10, and he can have that kind of influence on the game that in the middle of it where he's got it all around him, and is
there room for him in the 10? I know he's the best player, and I know he's.
That's like probably. Yeah, but that's like saying when Barcelona had Messi and going, is there room for him in that position?
No, it's not. Let's be right about it. I know you're playing semantics, but Callum O'Hare is our player of the year. We cannot forget, by the way, and won that award rightly, deservedly so. He's had a very good individual season himself.
Yes.
And the problem we have had, and I don't know if Coventry had the same problem, but he's fitting the two players into the same team a lot of the time. Now, you can argue whether that's a real thing or not, but if you think Gus's best position is I think it's undeniable that Callum O'Hare's best position is the 10. Gus Eamon is that good. You can play him off the left. You can play him in the 10. You can even try him in the 8, which I know hasn't gone well for us in the past. But if you're saying move Gus to the 10, where do you put Callum O'Hare? Is he can we afford to sacrifice a player of that quality now who's not going to be in the 11?
I think there's a little bit of horses for courses, like Paul said when he's talking about the centre midfield.
That's a luxury.
Gus is a player you build a team around at championship level.
A fit Gus is definitely that. But I don't know if he impacts games for long enough at the moment. All right, I know it's one season and you can't hold him. Look, I'm hoping we get the Tyrese Campbell of season before last, so you can.
So do I.
I don't know with Gus. I don't know.
Come on.
He's got the ability. Undoubtedly, he's got the ability. But can we rely on him to be the main boy?
I think so.
Paul?
You won't realise what we're missing until he's gone.
I agree with that. And I think he's a special player, and they come around only every so often. I understand all of that. The moments that he'll give you. But we're talking about a long-term plan to get Sheffield United strong again and a competitive side at the level without parachute payments.
I think he is a player that offers you. He could play in the 10. It doesn't mean that Callum O'Hare's out to pasture because he's not.
So when Gus is in 10, where's Cal?
So yeah, but you're talking fantasy football here because you're setting your team up and going, oh well, he plays here and he plays here. But what you're missing is you could play both of them. You could play Gus up front, off the striker as well. You could play, if you're going to go 4-4-2, you could play him up there. You could bring Cal on and play him as 2 10s behind a striker as well. You can play it gives you a lot of options for me. And like we've said, he's not going to, no matter what we say, he's not going to do it for 90 anyway. So that still leaves you. Imagine having the Energizer Bunny sat there who comes on most of the time with 25 to go and still starts quite a few games when Gus needs a rest as well. So I think there's still room for both. I agree Gus has to be in the 10 position and starting in the 10 position because technically he's arguably the best player in the league. So you've got to try and fit him in somewhere somehow. Wilder will think with a good preseason he can get him back to his best because he was on about that, weren't he? He can get him back to those fitness levels where he is the player of the season, and he gives us. you know, without him, we forget we never used to score goals from 25 yards and 20 yards, and we never used to have players who could play first time in those types of balls. And we've had that with Gus, and he's a luxury we've got used to. But if he goes, there's a massive gaping hole in terms of the creativity within this side. And yes, he's been inconsistent. Wilder will think he can get him back to where he was before. If the money doesn't come, who's to say that Gus won't sign a deal and extend it and stay? Because we know his personal life. He's mentioned it at the Players Awards about his lad. We think he's got a new love or whatever. You just don't know where these players' heads are. And he's been a good servant. He's really well thought of. We all love him. He knows it as well. And I
he does love to be loved, doesn't he? He's one of them.
Yeah, but who doesn't? Who doesn't?
No,
it's
that's not criticism. I don't mean it like that. I mean, if we've been, he always gets a great reception, rightly so, off the United fans, and he leans into that because you know.
Yeah, what you want from him is what you don't want him to do, and like. I know that the rigours of the modern game are that you have to get your son back in, and you have to shape up, and you have to track runners, and you have to help out. I think we've suffered at left back because that's not his game, and the fullback. I think Harrison Burrows has suffered terribly this season by being isolated. I don't think he's being supported by his centre halves. Whenever I see Burrows 1v1 on the right, and usually against a flyer, he doesn't have anybody there doubling up and helping like they do, like Femi gets from Brooks on the other side. I think we need someone with a yard of pace, because I think there's a massive lack of pace on this side, on that left-hand side, and I'd like to see Gus in the 10. And that does not mean Callum O'Hare is surplus. I think Callum O'Hare would still feature in 40 of the 46 games, even if Gus was our primary number 10.
So why was the formula working the season before?
Well,
Vinny Souza.
It was, yeah, exactly, because Vinny would great answer, Dave. Love you for that.
Saved you there, didn't he?
Well, no, because you know I've got to think, haven't I? You got to give me a minute.
No.
Okay, no, then
immediate answers.
But Vinny Souza would track everybody into anywhere on the pitch, wouldn't he? And he'd bully people and go everywhere. So that's kind of what we've been missing a little bit. And I do think we need someone with a little bit more 1v1 ability to run at a player, someone who's willing to go inside, outside, cross the ball a little bit more. Bamford would benefit from that hugely. I think that's a message you'll put into Brooks as well. I think Brooks has been brilliant with the ball at his feet. He's stepped on a level this season, but that final ball and understanding, that final ball. And
that's an old school 3MB reference, if anybody remembers that.
And
get the line. Put the line in the comments if you remember it. I know us three do.
Yeah. And the understanding that a forward needs from a wide player is when the ball's coming. You know, it's when's it going to come. It doesn't have to always be checked back. I mean, Gus does a very similar thing over and over again, doesn't he? And I think those diagonal, like, floated balls towards it, they're not. Strikers sometimes want you round the back, and sort of it's kind of what Femi's been offering us this season a little bit. So I think it's something he'll want on both sides, and I think he'll want to inject some pace on that left-hand side. And Gus can play in the 10, and so can Cal be part.
Do you think there's a chance that Brooksy goes left wing next season? Go around the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
Very good. I think he can do. Yeah, I don't see why not. He's a left-footed player, and he should be able to, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should. Just there's all sorts in there up for debate, isn't there now? Pete says, why is he not letting me show the comments? It says, Pete says, just kill some time for me, lads, while I get Pete's comment up.
No,
Pete, thanks. Pete says, it's the time to do the right thing for the Blades and our club. No more injury-prone players, no more massive wages, no more carrying players. We need hunger, determination, fight, and 110% for SUFC and availability. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Fraser says, 1, linked to conversation on Wilder and track record, Brentford have 3 to 4 ex-staff, and Man United had Nick Cox, who was the technical director at Everton, and Travis Binion, part of the first team setup. 2, for that many staff to be headhunted by Premier League teams suggest Wilder and co. can't have been doing that much wrong. Know how to run a club more than the magic wand of a random director of football. Fraser also says, The Prince in the past didn't want to pay the wages for a young Watkins, Cash et al. Look at where many of Wilder's initial targets are now. Can only play with the hand you're dealt. Wilder himself has a false reputation with some. One of the few managers you rarely hear those working for him speaking poorly of. So a resounding reference in favour of Chris Wilder there from Fraser, who makes some very good points. Very good points.
Yeah.
Rob Kerr, the first, says we've seen Wilder can do what Wilder can do with regards to finding players in the lower leagues that we can afford and who will flourish. If you then add in 5 Prem loans, and who knows what might be possible. Absolutely right. I think that is the beauty of this time of year, Rob, in terms of it's exciting because it's a blank canvas. It's a fresh coat of paint for the entire squad. And we know that we're going to see, we're almost guaranteed, every club is, to see 7 or 8 new faces through the door at least, which can completely change the whole makeup of and feel of your season to come. So it's exciting. It's exciting. Yeah. Wayne, he says, as soon as Gyro was announced, I thought of Hamza replacement straight away. Think Chris may have some surprises on incomings. We will have to see. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Hamza Chowdhury, lads, does he come back into the conversation for you now?
He was always alluding to earlier with a right back that can cover centre mid. I don't think he's a starting centre mid for us.
No, but I think he's probably in the conversation for returning.
Not for that.
Would you say? Would you say the same?
I've said it a few times. It's not for me. Not for me.
I know it's not for you. Do you think he's going to be in the conversation though? Now that Gyro's moved on,
I don't. Well, can we have some clarity on his contract status at Leicester? Has he got another year to go?
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, his wages are way too big for us to even dream of taking him at this point. I wouldn't be using him as a loan either. I think if we go and get the targets we're talking about, I don't see where he fits into the side. I'll be honest with you. I like him. I like his attitude. I like his determination. Do I think he improves us? No, I do not.
What if we were to say we'll take Hamza for note and we give him a 2 or 3 year deal so that offsets the high wages for much more reasonable wages, and we'll, in exchange for that, we'll give Tom Cannon on a season loan.
Now we are doing fantasy footy, aren't we?
But there's been a lot of talk about Cannon back to Leicester, aren't there? So,
well, yeah, I said that there's a lot of Leicester fans who think it was a mistake to get rid of him. I think he's well thought of there.
At League One, he bosses it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does. Again, it's not. I don't think it's out of the question. Do you, Jim, see Hamza Chowdhury as the starting right back for Sheffield United next season?
No, I don't know. Well, I really like Hamza. Really like him.
Definitely not a centre mid, mate. He's definitely.
No, I agree with you. I don't think he starts.
So I think it might be quite a few quid in wages for a player for me again that does not take us to that.
But would you have said exactly the same about Joe Rothwell last season? We'd have expected to have paid a decent fee for him. We didn't. And he is on good wages, as we know. I know we're in a different circumstance now, but we had to have this in mind when we signed Joe Rothwell as well. What I'm saying is I don't think it's completely out of the realms of possibility that Hamza could be a Sheffield United player next season. So I get your point. I agree with you in terms of I don't think he's a starter, but I think in terms of adding good, strong depth to the squad,
an expensive squad option, Jim. For me,
I agree. I agree with
you. A very expensive squad option.
I think Joe Rothwell is.
Oh, I think Joe.
And to be honest, because of the collateral from last season, we've got a lot of expensive squad options, haven't we? Alex Matos is an expensive squad option.
I think Joe Rothwell's slightly different. I think he's proven at this level, and he's
in Hamza.
Sorry,
isn't Hamza proven at the level?
He is, yeah, I'd say he is. But again, he's a right back. He's not a creative midfield player, and he hasn't got the same level of quality that you're talking about with a fit Joe Rothwell. If you get the Rothwell that was at Blackburn or Bournemouth or even at Leeds, then you're talking about something different. You're talking about top-end championship creativity and ability in Joe Rothwell. Where for me, I think Hamza is a good lad and a steady player. And do I think that he fits into sides at the top of this division? No.
I think Hamza might happen or might be dependent on the Kyle Walker deal. So I think if Walker comes in, Hamza doesn't.
I just think he offers us a lot. In if we were backs to the wall, he'd probably be better suited to playing for us if we were in the Premier League, because if we had to absorb a lot of pressure, I think he's a really durable and good tackler, and positioning wise, I think he's really safe. I think he's decent. What do you want from your right back? Because he couldn't offer us anything like what Femi can offer us. And if you're going to be an attacker, if you're going to use your fullbacks to go and bomb, he's not your man, is he? He's more like an Alfie Gilchrist than anything else. And I just think he's the money that he's been coining at Leicester. There's no way that we take that on this season. And for what you've just said, you've said it yourself, the squad option.
Yeah, fair, mate, fair. Right, where are we? Jack says, Jack, formerly known as Positive Jack. We may overvalue our players, but Gyro allowed our midfield to play, especially Peck, and gave us a lot of protection. Moving him on to get Phillips is mental, in my opinion. If it's true, we want robust players who can stay fit. Phillips doesn't spring to mind for me. This isn't a gamble we should be taking. It depends on the outlay, Jack, and I think the three of us have spoken about this previously. It's all, what are we investing into him? If we're paying 45 grand a week to Calvin Phillips, like 30% allegedly, then it's not worth doing, because it becomes our top earner and we can't rely on him. If we're paying 15 grand a week, probably similar to what we're paying, I don't know, Jamie Shackleton or something like that, then it's a much more balanced deal for Sheffield United, isn't it? And it's probably worth the risk for the player that he potentially can get. So, I don't know. It depends on the deal entirely for me. Batman says, evening boys, hope you're all well. Wasn't all that surprised Gyro wasn't renewed. At this point, he perhaps became an expensive luxury. Recent inability to finish games probably played its part. Probably the salesman in me, but I see every disappointment as an opportunity. We all liked Gyro, but we now have room for something new and fresh. In Wilder we trust. He's at his best in rebuild mode up the Ramble. Well said, mate. Well said. Dublin Blade says, are we going to second guess every decision made by Wilder? And in my view, it was Wilder's decision. You're second guessing that, Dublin Blade. It's a pity we couldn't shift at least 3 to 5 more, but we may have retained them with a view to selling. You are second guessing that there, to be honest. If you think we've retained them with a view to selling. On for more, we'd still been under contract, selling them on for more with them still being under contract. I'll just, if I were you, I just wouldn't second guess it. Justin says, was told months ago the club weren't taking up Gyro's contract. ITK. Well, I wish I'd have been told, and then we could have broke it on the Ramble. Well, there you go. I genuinely was surprised by this. I know people think I know what's going off, and I share exactly what I'm able to, and I didn't have a clue about this. I was shocked as anybody else. I didn't know, Justin. So
you told us weeks ago about this, Jim.
Shoot your face, yeah. That's not true at all. Sarah says, evening all, hope you're well. A bit gutted to see Gyro go. Me too, Sarah, me too. It doesn't mean we don't trust the club. Mountain. It doesn't mean we don't trust the club to get it right, but it's a shame. I know. It's a shame to see a quality player leave. It's no two ways about it. We're weaker at the moment for him going, but it's what we're going to be like come kick-off, isn't it? Raymondo says, evening everyone, hope you're all well. Gyro exit has divided the fan base. It's quality, but maybe something has gone off behind the scenes. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. Chris says, we're a joke of a club at the minute, getting relegated next season, I reckon. Chris, it is not that catastrophic, honestly. Look, one Harry Suter signing or somebody that... I'm not saying it has to be Harry Suter, don't jump on me for that, because it doesn't always have to be old boys. But one positive signing. We haven't made any signings yet. We will make signings, and if you like one of them, it can completely change your mood. So, yes, we're all disappointed to see Gyro go. I think if we could have all said, is he good enough to stay? I think the majority of us would be saying, yes, of course he's good enough to stay. And it's always going to be disappointing. But this is probably the most depleted we're going to be, unless we have a couple of high-ticket sales, which might happen. But we will be strengthening the squad. Don't get yourself too down about it at the moment. Dave Morwood, thank you so much for the £20 super chat. Very, very kind of you, my mate. Evening 3MB says, I told you I'm done with this club till tomorrow, but I'm here. Up all the Rambles, up the Blades. Gyro has left the building, and he's not saying anything about it. Yeah, thank you, Dave Morwood. What an absolute legend you are, my mate. Rest in peace, Tim says, Ian the Gatekeeper will be greatly missed. Well said, mate. He will indeed. Nice tributes to lads to Tim. Yeah, we can carry on doing it for me, Ray. It's more important than football, isn't it? That sort of stuff. Russ says Wilder must see value elsewhere in the market. The more I think about it, I think the fitness has probably been a deciding factor, and Wilder is really pushing for 100-minute players with availability. Yeah, I think that's certainly played a part in it. I don't think it will have necessarily been the deciding factor, but because it's obviously been on a bit of a knife edge. He's been planning for having Gyro, but something's changed along the way. Evening, lads, says Sheila's Wheels. Hope you're all well. Although I didn't know Tim, can I pass on my commiserations to his family? Thinking of you at this time. Thank you, Sheila. That's a lovely thing to say. We retained Okaki and Zatterstrom, Nachukwu and Polendikov, which has surprised me. What I'll have to say on this, and we had a few comments in the earlier stream. Please don't get confused with players being retained and players not being for sale or available for transfer or anything like that. The retained list is purely around players who were due to be out of contract this summer. So these players signed last summer will still have contracts that run longer. If I can tell you now, if certainly 3, if not all 4, were out of contract, it's very likely they will be leaving the club. They are still contracted to the club. I believe Zatterstrom's still at Genoa, and they still hold the option to buy him, but it's looking very unlikely. He's played very little football for them. I'd expect none of them to be at the club next season, or certainly in consideration for playing. I expect them all to go out again on loan, if not sold. So it surprised me. It surprises me too, Brian, in a lot of respects, that they even came to the club in the first place. But certainly not that they weren't on the release list, because they're under contract. Alex says, evening all, love the 3MB shows. Disappointed that Redevelder's gone, but calm down from earlier. What a huge sum of this is going to be. Would like to think we're already working on targets. Oh, we certainly are, pal. No doubt about that. There's a bigger picture, surely, says Andrew. We don't know what's on the next page yet. Trust in Wilder. Well said. Jack says, if this allows us to retain our quality, then that's fine, but I'm just not sure yet. Alex says, unless the deal is costing next to nothing, then I don't understand getting Calvin Phillips back. Got to move on from players who just aren't available enough. You won't be alone in that, Alex. I think there'll be a lot of people sceptical on a Calvin Phillips signing if that's in the works. Paul says, long way to go before the start of the season, so let's see what happens. More ups and downs on players before the window shuts. It's only May. Only May? It is only May. It's going to be May. Dave, you look like you wanted to say something there, mate.
I just don't know if that's Paul the Wino.
Is that Paul the Wino?
No, Paul the Wino. Paul from Abbey Lane, if you are, say hello or something. I don't know.
Is that Paul who Dave knows? I heard what you said.
I would not be surprised if people are talking about Phillips there. I would not be shocked at all if we were paying £0.
No, I wouldn't. I would not be shocked if it was something like, when available, he plays, you don't have to pay anything. If he doesn't play, you pay us, or something like that. There are deals like that. Maybe not with Phillips, because obviously he don't need to play for the development, but I don't think we'll be paying hardly anything. I think that's what Wilder's been trying to allude to as best as he possibly can into it.
And I think that's where all the praise came when he was out the team or suspended or injured, and how he was always there, always in the meetings, always doing the thing, and he said an unbelievable deal, and he pulled his face like this.
Yeah. How have we been able to manage this?
Yeah, exactly. I would not be shocked if it's a completely free hit for Wilder in terms of the wages.
Yeah, I agree. I think there might be something to that as well. Martin says, sorry to hear you lost one of your Ramblers. Football takes second place on these occasions. Absolutely right, it does. I don't know him, Jimmy, but you're all good lads on here. Love and condolences to his family. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate that, mate. Nice to see that we've retained Imminent. Yes, it is, Ray. I think letting Bindon go back is a pain as well. Bindon had a really good season. Went from not fancied at all, certainly under Wilder, after a difficult or a very rocky start that everybody had under Sayers. Not being fancied under Wilder to being third choice, second choice, and at some points, I'm sure he was first choice in terms of name on the team sheet. For me, even Tanganga didn't work very well together. They didn't really complement each other's styles. Whether that could have been worked on, I'm not sure. But Wilder clearly didn't see them as a partnership. So it was no surprise to me that he's gone back. Cooler King says, evening Mardies, can't carry on. If you can't carry 60-minute players anymore, then Gyro isn't going to be the only one out the door. It could be more cost-effective to overhaul the fitness department. Yeah, that's been mentioned as well tonight. Well said. Papa Blades says, I3MB, if we are 4-2-3-1 to be Premier League ready, we need athletes. Love Gyro and Gus, but neither are athletes. Is Hamza his replacement is already done? Need replacement ASAP, so there's a good pre-season up the Blades, up the Ramble. So good comment, a pertinent comment by Papa Blade. We have all at different points. Paul was very strong in it early doors. Talked about the necessity for athletes, particularly in this system. Vinny Souza is the one that we always circle back to. He was a pure athlete in the middle of the park, and once certainly when he got down to championship level, we're an absolute beast. We haven't got anybody like that at the moment. I would say the closest athlete we've got is our right back, Femi Sariki, who can go up and down the field, but he doesn't really dominate games and sort of it's not his game to move past players in terms of carrying the ball in that respect. But do we need to move on from players like Gyro and potentially Gus if this is the way that we're going? If Gus moves inside, I think a 10 you can always get away with being a little bit smaller and low centres of gravity and stuff like that. Callum Ware's in a similar boat, but do we have to look at athletes coming in terms of that? Because is Regan Slater that? He's not really the Vinny Souza mould, is he? But he's certainly a bit more of a terrier, a bit more of a ball winner. Is that what do we need to look at, lads?
I think we're saying there, talking about the Premier League, then I would argue that Regan's probably not Premier League level.
Agreed.
So if you are preparing for Premier League, then yeah, you're
neither are we though, Dave. Neither is
exactly. No, exactly, and that's why I'm kind of I'm not against Regan coming in, and yeah, Gus is not probably, and that's probably why he's not a Premier League player. And since we've come down, he's not gone up there because he maybe isn't athletic enough to cope with it. But like you said, we are not that. So we've got to plan accordingly.
Yeah, well said, my mate. I'm just trying to find where I am now because I lost Papa Blade's comment. There we are. Chris says, I think he wanted to go himself. It won't be anywhere near the championship next season. That is a cert. You talking about Gyro? I'm not convinced.
I'm not sure either. I can see him playing, so I can definitely see him in the champ.
Yeah, I can. Gyro completed 90 minutes 3 times in 25 games, says Luke, and averaged just under 60 minutes over the 25 games. Seemed to tail off towards the end of the season. Chris says, Chris Wilder will have some good players in the pipeline. I'll get at least 4 perms and 5 loans. I'm looking forward to the summer. We can't keep everybody up the Ramble. That's right. Statman Jack says, hi gents, Danny Hall reported as late Wilder decision linked to us procuring Phillips. I put the article in the chat earlier. Okay. Jim would make a great MP. I think that must have been when I was answering your questions earlier, lads. Rich Crocker says, I don't think we're going to have either Gyro or Phillips. Knowing the gaffer, he's got aces up his sleeve. Yeah, I think, it won't surprise me at all. Unless you get Bielsa, don't get Phillips. He's never been as good since being with Bielsa, says Henry. I think that's fair to say, to be honest. I think he certainly enjoyed his best football under Marcelo Bielsa, that incredible Leeds team under Bielsa. Matthew says, evening guys, hope you're all good. I'm really not worried about Gyro going. Wilder will have some gems up his sleeve going into the transfer market. He's good at finding players on the cheap, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Phillips played 20 league games in his last season at Leeds. Since then, 12, 19 and 3. Leaning into Paul's point about how available is Calvin Phillips. We've kept R&D too. Yeah, I don't think... I mean, my immediate thoughts on Reece Norrington-Davies are I don't think he'll be involved, and I think we'll move him on. It's probably best for all parties that he does. However, Paul is right in terms of we can never just assume what's going to happen, because if we do get a bid for Harrison Burrows that we may find attractive or too good to turn down, then we have the option of selling Burrows and Reece being then back up to Sam McCallum. So it's never a done deal, is it? I know we've all sort of think the club has moved on and R&D and United have parted ways and probably won't come back together, and that might well be the case. I'd probably say it's 70-30 that way. But there's always the chance that we get a bid for a Harrison Burrows and we've already got 2 other left backs on the books that can play at Championship level, it makes the Borough sale less impactful, doesn't it? If Gyro doesn't fit us in midfield, then Phillips certainly doesn't, says Jack. Chris says, when does the transfer window open, and do you think that's it for West Ham looking more and more likely? I'd have to have a look for the transfer window date. It's usually, is it around like the 9th of June or something like that?
It was the first.
But West Ham, yeah, I think they're done. I think they're absolutely cooked, Chris, to be honest. Giggs and Beatty to come through for me, says Bry. I think it's mid-June, Chris says Ray. Sarah says, we've got decent players coming back. Let's look at them rather than the players that have left we wish had stayed. I hope that made sense. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Not so sure Slater comes back here, says Bry. He may be given a chance in the Prem. They've got to get there first.
15th of June, sorry.
15th of June. Thank you, mate. Yeah. Slater's contract is up and he hasn't been offered a new one yet, says the World of Trading. I believe they've triggered a year's option for Regan, so he's got a year left. Same boat as Gus and Tyrese Campbell for us. O'Hare needs competition. He drops off, says Jack. Gus in the 10 would be lethal rotating between him and O'Hare. I think we're falling into a trap of a little bit of a luxury pair in there, if I'm honest, personally. I know what you boys have said earlier as well. I'm telling you. I can see you out of the corner of my eye, Dave. I'll counter to the comment from Mr. Mountain about Gus. A lot of our performances that have turned into wins was better without Gus in the starting 11. But I have to also say his numbers are outstanding, Nige. So, you know, that I know I've seen him as well this season, as have the boys as well. Nobody's sort of defending his performances across the season, but it's his ability that we're concerned about losing and what he can give you. And ultimately, I think it's 12 assists, which is the highest in the entire championship. And we know he's not been the Gus Hamer level that we all want to see. Still highest assists in the championship, from what I understand. So, okay, let's have a look. Could KP do the Vinny job, Mr. Mountain, says Bry?
No, different players.
I agree. Yes, lads, hallelujah. The value of physical 6 or 8 can be either. It makes a huge difference to everyone around them, says Batman. Vinny is the archetype, and it allows more flair and freedom in front. Nate says, evening, you 3 lovely gents. Can see both sides of the Gyro release. A very good player who helped when we were banging trouble. But this season, a fresh slate, and we need players who can play 90 minutes. Fair. Eve, good evening, says, I hope for fresh energy, new motivation. Let's see what will happen in the upcoming season. I think Wilder likes Cannon. I don't see him going anywhere, says Ian. Jihan says, shocking decision. We're going for promotion and we're releasing our best players. Brilliant to start the rebuild. This is where we have to realign our expectations, Jihan. We're in different conversations now. We have to manage our finances accordingly.
And we have got a month to go before the transfer window even opens. So,
yeah, true, very true.
Let's just a little bit of calm and patience. Yeah.
Jim, why does you sound so quiet whilst Dave and Paul's is normal? It makes following difficult. Somebody said that to me earlier, but I'm hoping it's now sorted. Let me know if that's not the case. I can see what the problem with Cannon is. Everyone was poor behind him, who we're supposed to be feeding the ball to him. He's no Bamford, but I think he had a decent season considering the positions.
Assistant doesn't help him.
Yeah. Chief Cannon supporter here now.
No. For me, he's a pair striker. He's a pair striker. He needs a partner. He's not a one up front, and he's certainly not a wide man.
Cannon Brand.
We need to make chances for him, don't we?
Right. I'm still allowed an opinion, James, just because
he's your best mate.
Yeah. Besties.
He does. We need to make chances for him. Look at, Kiefer Moore's a great example of a striker that you make the right chances for him and he bags a load.
Yeah,
I think Tom Cannon's no different, and he's a young lad as well.
Yeah, people think he's in his mid 20s, don't they? He's still a young player. The same one.
23 is he?
Same as Blaster, and we don't. He doesn't get that. He don't get that leeway.
A young player. Yeah, that's absolutely right. He doesn't get the same allowances as other young players, I don't think, because he's been a regular at championship level for so long. Daz says the only player we should be looking at dull is Gelhart. Yeah, Gelhart's a good player. FX says I think they'll sign him permanently, to be honest, if they go up. I'm really not, or even if they don't, they might sign him permanently. I'm really not too bothered about Gyro, says FX. Overpaid and underfit, in my opinion. I also don't want Kyle Walker. That ship has sailed. Interesting. Dave Oxley says, would you have Vinny Souza back? I've heard we could be back in for him.
In a heartbeat, but I don't think it happened.
Absolutely right.
No way.
Absolutely right.
No way.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
For me.
We
did say this about Calvin Phillips, by the way, but I would be absolutely astounded. If
he's an asset they can sell. Phillips isn't.
No chance we get Vinny back. I'd love to be wrong, David, but no chance.
Last time you said that, we got him. So
yeah,
you know.
More power to the jinx, but not for me. I don't think it'll happen. Do we sell Chong this window or do we keep him on? In all fairness, he's got potential to be really good. Should we just say he's simply had a rough season? I'm not 100% sold personally. I think we'll struggle to find a buyer, if I'm honest. Extreme Dave. We'll have to wait and see. See how he goes to start the season. Will probably be the one. I think he's going to be a rotation option again this season. George says, I know most of us would prefer Gyro over Rothwell, including me, but a lot of us have said that they are similar players and can't play together. We've already tied Rothwell down. I think they're slightly different players, to be honest, Georgia, but I understand what you're saying. I think we've invested heavily into both centre midfielders, and we are stuck with Rothwell. Stuck with is a harsh way of putting it, but we have permanently signed Rothwell, whereas Gyro, we had an option whether to extend him or not. So I think finance has played a big part in it, like we've talked about. Beats says, who cares? It's one player, and we have loads of DCMs or CMs. That's not our problem. Okay. Paul Young says, evening all. Is there a collection for Tim or any details on the funeral? May he rest in peace and rise again in glory. We've not had anything through yet, Paul. We are just going to wait and see what details come out. Is probably the best way to put it, but we'll certainly keep everybody up to speed on what's happening with that. Well, thank you for asking. Dave Pearson says, gutted to lose Gyro, but I'm sure there are good reasons. Hope he goes to the Premier League or Europe. Don't want to endure seeing him line up against us. I can see it, to be honest. I can see him lining up for a Burnley or somebody like that. Key says, surprised Hampson has been released. Thought he might be understudy to Shaq's next season. Understudy to Shaq? Excuse me. I was trying to avoid doing that, but I could not shake it off. That understudy to Shackleton just threw me off completely. Daz says, no offence, Paul, but our £30 million man was great to have around the squad in the building at 35 grand a week. It could be good to have around the building. It only costs 5 grand a week. I could be good, sorry. Statman Jack says, don't panic, everyone, if we haven't signed anyone today, tomorrow, next week. The window doesn't open till the 15th of June. Well said. Just be patient, enjoy the build-up and the World Cup on Ramble FC, which Jack just failed to include at the last minute there. But yes, Jack will likely be part of our World Cup streams on Ramble FC. Heard United are after McNair from Hull. Yes, I've heard similar. It was Slater and McNair, I think, that were linked. That's Pep has stepped down. Villa will be his last game. Right, okay. Interesting. So we might lose Wilder as well. Woolton says, see if I catch a few with that one. Woolton, off chance here, but maybe he released Gyro to then sign him on a lower deal as a free agent. If that's a thing he can do, as maybe the extension was too expensive at the time before the rule changes. There's no reason to officially release him though, Walton, that's the thing. So you could say, we're not going to offer you one until you sign this. I don't think him no longer being a part of the club makes that any more likely than it would have been anyway. If Hull don't go up, then I would prefer Gelhardt to Slater. So very different players, but I think Gelhardt will be in demand, and I think they're after between 3 and 5 million for him. So if it's a sale, I'm not sure we'll be in the running. We could be. We're not completely skint, but we just have to be very careful what we do with our money. I think we should be after a player like Balumi from Hull. Yeah, good player. Dale says, as good as Jairo was, only being able to play 60 minutes every game is no good. Up the blades. Up the Mardy blades. Up the 3 Mardy blades. Gyro, baby. Gyro, baby, if you've got to go away, says Mark Meldrew. Yeah, sings to E17, which is not a Christmas song, by the way. Stay another day. Please like, subscribe, and share the channel, says Bry. Costs no and really helps us build the channel. Thank you, my mate. Always supporting us there. Not worried about Gyro. We've got Shax, says Keith.
Oh,
Yep,
God.
absolutely.
Who?
Shax. What were you oh God in it about?
I can just pictured Mark singing that song.
Oh, with his hoodie on. With his,
White coat on.
him and John Motson and Thom. Yeah. As it goes across with fur collars.
Done me that.
Yeah, absolutely
Done me.
right. That's next Ramble do, I think.
Oh, wow.
Matt says, evening guys, hope you're all well. Jealous of Man Mountain at the awards. I'm a proper Canon fanboy. Also, Jimmy, did you get Bamford's shirt for the sponsorship? I did, mate. Yes. Up the blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. What date are the players due back for pre-season? Paul, what date are you due back for pre-season, pal?
Give us a few weeks off and then
How's
we'll
it?
be
Okay.
straight in.
That's all right. Maresca to take over from Prep this summer. Talksport understands. Oh, my word. Sign that Japanese player, Jimmy Achu. Mr. B. Thank you, mate. Pep leaving is coming from the Daily Mail, so comes with a health warning. Understandable, Cooler King. But it looks like if Talksport are talking about replacements and all this, it may well be a thing that's happening. So, look, lads, we've been going nearly an hour and a half, as we tend to do on these nowadays. Anything else you'd like to discuss before we make a move? Dave?
No.
Okay. Paolo?
I think we've done rather well to make that to last that long on that particular topic in there, Jim. Avoid questions in such a professional way. It was really good, mate. It's good. It's just spinning the mirror back to you. But no, obviously to finish off today, it's there's a lot more than football that's going on at the moment for people, and I just want to obviously echo what we've said it a few times already. Just like the community that's that is going to suffer because of Tim's loss. Obviously, it's a big loss for us, but it's the community that's changed a lot of people's lives, and yeah, it's a great thing. And we know with these things, and obviously Jord having the new baby and things like that, it's we're here for the long haul, and these things are going to happen, and we just want to make sure everybody knows that we're all in it together.
Well said, mate. Well said. We'll just leave by saying rest in peace to our mate Tim.